You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
PackersTalk.com. Do you want to experience the thrill of a Packers game at Lambeau Field? If so, be sure to get your game tickets from the longtime trusted source in Wisconsin, Ticket King. Visit their locations in Milwaukee and Green Bay, or just go to their website, theticketking.com. Again, that's theticketking.com.
Just because he's not here, and I feel less awkward doing it, and his awkward laughter won't disturb my thought process. So, Jordan's in for a doozy when he hears this one. Plus, didn't you just beat him by 1 point, Brian, or something in fantasy?
2.02.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Take New York Bozo! New York Bozo! New York Bozo!
I got to get my biceps a little bigger.
Yeah, you can always work on that.
What, could you use a hot dog with chili?
You know what time the game starts? Hey, you got any left-handed footballs? We need to fire him. Is anybody else tired, or is it just me? Good thing I'm in shape. You got any eligibility left? I got some advice for y'all. Take 2 weeks off, then quit.
Welcome, Packer fans, from wherever you are. You are listening to the Prestige Worldwide's equivalent of Packers podcasting, Pack to the Future. We are joined tonight by Dusty.
Love it.
Dusty, how are we feeling tonight, buddy?
I'm feeling great, man. You know, we had the bye week, early bye week, which is a little upsetting, but man, took a week off. You know, it was about me. I'm refreshed. I'm ready for football. I'm here, man. I'm hyped. We got the bye week out of the way early, and now it's just football. So I'm very good.
Get
very
hyped.
well. Had a lot of bourbon.
Get hyped on that bourbon, dog. That's what I'm talking about. I'm getting hyped on a couple beers here. So same difference, I think. And Brian, how are you doing tonight? What are you sipping on?
I am sipping on some good local beers. This one is a fresh squeezed IPA from Deschutes Brewery. It is quite delicious. So I've got a fantastic beer in my hand.
How do you squeeze?
I've been to that brewery. It is
How do you squeeze an IPA?
I'm not a brewer. All right.
just like milk and a cow, John. It's like milk and a cow.
Oh, an IPA cow.
Yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
I'm from the Dairyland, so I understand everything about that.
I've been out to that brewery, Brian. It's a lovely, lovely place.
Love
That's
it.
Very
Absolutely
good
love
good
it.
Choice.
Very good choice, Brian.
And Packer football is coming back in only a few days, so I'm good.
Packer football is here, and you know it's rough. It's rough on those Sundays where you don't have it, and luckily for us, we got it this week. We got it back. The bye week's over, so we got Packer Sundays for the rest of the year, and hopefully all the way up until the Super Bowl this year. So, we're gonna get started right away to get you guys up to date on what's been happening. In a couple weeks, I guess, and we're gonna get started with our coin toss segment, with our patented coin toss segment, where it gives our.
Not actually patented.
It could be patented. We don't. I work in the quiets, in the secrets, in the darks. Okay, Brian. You will never know this information. But essentially, what the coin toss segment does is it gives opportunity for our intellects to. The coin will tell them which way they have to go on one of our hot topics that we discuss here, and the first hot topic is the Packers offense back? We kind of had the tale of two halves, with the Packers just coming out guns blazing in the first half and just dropping points like crazy. And then we had the second half where we saw the Lions come back and the offense just kind of seemed a little stagnant. So, Brian, I'm gonna, if the coin comes to heads, you're going to tell me that the Packers offense is back and I should be seeing something more like the first half of the Lions game, okay? And it is heads. So you're going to tell me why they're back, buddy?
I mean, all I needed to see was Aaron Rodgers headbutting TJ Lang and yelling in his face, "I'm back."
Ooh.
He looked like he was having fun in that first half again, and it was amazing. It was beautiful. He was smiling. He was celebrating again. It was all the things that we haven't seen in 14 or 15 weeks worth of football. They were back. He was hitting his receivers early. He was hitting them over the middle. It was just a beautiful, beautiful half of football. And I know that the second half was a bit of a negative, but first of all, we can take some baby steps here. I don't know. I'm okay with one great half of football because it's more than we've had for quite a while. So that's step one, and step two is dropping 50 points on the Giants. The other thing is it's really that secondary that let this team down. That defense just could not get off the field in the second half. And I've been critical of Dom Capers in the past, but not in this case. He gets a free pass as far as I'm concerned for being without as many players as he was without, and still getting the win and still absolutely stuffing the run. No Shields, no Burnett, no Jones, no Guyon, just so many huge injuries, and the defense, at least the front seven, still performed quite well. So overall, I'm happy. The defense kind of let them down, but you saw vintage Packers offense again.
Okay. And Dusty, why will I be seeing the second half offense going forward here?
I don't know that we're necessarily going to see just the second half offense. They played it conservatively, but I mean that's been an issue in McCarthy's tenure in Green Bay, has been that they get a lead and they play it conservatively. I don't like to think about the NFC Championship game against the Seahawks, but like
nope,
that's what comes to mind. And I mean that's the thing. My point is not to break hearts, which mine is breaking as we speak, but to bring up the fact that this is not sitting on the ball in the second half of a lead is not a one-time thing. And the crazy thing is that they were up, after the long Marvin Jones touchdown, they were up 31-10. Was going to be 31-3, but 31-10 going into the second half, where the Lions got the ball first. Yeah, I mean, they were up by quite a bit, but it still wasn't necessarily a gimme, especially with the Lions getting the ball first in the second half. So to basically play it as conservatively as they did in the second half was concerning. And Brian mentioned their defense not being able to get off the field. The Lions actually had less time of possession in the second half than they did in the first half, and fewer plays run as well. So they were actually on... And the crazy thing, this is just insane to me. I looked at this. Lions had fewer yards per play in the second half than in the first half, which is crazy. But we're not talking about the Lions. We're talking about the Packers. The Packers put up 31 points, which was very impressive. They had a couple short fields, and they were going up against a banged up Lions defense. Now, it was good to see them do it, but I'm not ready to say that they're back to being themselves again just because they had one really good half of football in 3 games. I mean, they're the Packers, and they should look good. They've got the receiving core. They've got a good running game. They should look like this. The fact they were able to do it against a banged up Lions defense, like maybe not 31 points good, but they should be putting up points on the Lions. So the second half was very, very concerning to me. And I don't think they're as bad as they looked in the second half, but I also don't think they're as good as they looked in the first half. I think they're somewhere in between. I think they're probably closer to the offensive team we saw in the first couple weeks than we saw in the first half of the Lions game.
Okay.
So Dusty, you threw some stats at me, and I have one more to throw at you. We only had 4 possessions in that second half.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no,
that's sustainable.
No, that's
can't expect a whole lot.
No, that's absolutely true, but they lean on the run more as well. I mean, they
agreed.
If I remember what I did, so they ran more in the second half than they did in the first half, and especially as it went down, like I think their, as far as third down conversions went, their shortest third down conversion they attempted passing in the first half was 7 yards. Oh no, the longest, was 7 yards. In the second half, the shortest they attempted was 3rd and 8. So they ran until they needed to pass, and by the time they needed to pass, they had longer to go. So I mean, they had 4 possessions, and some of them they could have gone on longer. And the Trevor Davis drop hurts because that would have been a first down and that could have bled some more time off the clock. But they kind of ran it until they were like, well, let's just throw now. And then by that time, they just put themselves in bad situations. Like that's what was frustrating to see, I think, was they did have a lack of possessions, but they also didn't make good use of their possessions, I guess.
Yeah. That is vintage Big Mac McCarthy running the ball in the second half. And that's just, I feel like that's just all that guy does. And I think that plays,
it's true.
I think that plays a lot into how the Packers kind of close out these games. I mean, the first halves just always seem that, the Packers typically score touchdowns in the first quarter and second quarter. And then all of a sudden they develop some form of a lead. And then at the second half, it seems it's just run. And it doesn't really, it's almost predictable at times. So I think the play calling needs to step up. And I would like to give this coin toss in favor of Brian, knowing that if Big Mac gets his act together, this is the Packers offense. So I think the Pack is back, and Rodgers is going to lead us to glory. Amen. Preach. Preach, John. Preach.
Oh, so this whole thing has been a prayer. I had no idea.
Did John just say preach to himself? Did he just tell himself to preach?
Oh, yes, all the time.
Were you praying the whole time? I had my eyes open.
I'm like at the grocery store, and I'm like going down the aisle, and I'm like, linguine tonight, preach. And like everyone's just like looking at me, and they're like, why are you saying that to yourself? And I don't have a good answer for you, but I just like saying the word preach. All right, guys.
These are real tears. These are real tears.
Back on topic.
John's girlfriend works for Miller, so John gets access to all the beer he wants. So if anything you've heard in the past few minutes hasn't made sense, now it does.
I mean, this Sunset Wheat is tasting pretty decent tonight. I will say that, guys. But now we will go on to question number 2. And that is, did the early bye week help the Packers? And Dusty, if the coin lands on tails, you will explain to me why an early bye week did help the Packers. It is heads. So the early bye week hurt the Packers, and why, Dusty?
Because it's early. Like they had some injuries, and so that's cool. They get to rest some of their guys, but they're playing football, man. Like they're probably going to be way more banged up than this as it goes on. You're able to make some adjustments in the bye week, maybe put in some plays, maybe bring some guys in, bring some guys along a little more than you would be during a regular, say, span of an NFL week. But with only 3 weeks under your belt, man, like you look at what guys have done so far, and you look at the numbers, and you look at the play of guys on the field. Like it's just not enough to evaluate. Guys, it's enough. The only guy it's enough to evaluate is Devontae Adams. You just get that bum out of here. You just get him right out of here. But everyone else, like it's just not long enough. So I mean, if you want to make adjustments, I mean, and for a conservative staff like the Packers have, to look at it, they might make adjustments if it's say like a week 7 or week 8, and say they're sitting, I don't know, 500 or slightly below 500 or something, but they're sitting 2-1 with a week 4 bye. They're not going to make any massive changes here. And if they don't make any massive changes here, it's unlikely they're going to do it as the year goes on. So I think going back to what we talked about before, like I think the Packers offense is better than they showed the first 2 weeks, but I don't think they're back to normal. Like I do think that's an issue, and I think they need to make changes. And they got some younger guys involved this past week, but Janice is going to be back this week, and there's not enough time to say exactly if Davis is ready to be a full-time player, if Aberderis can hold up. Like there's a whole lot of things that with more information and more time you can judge and you can make those changes. With a week 4 bye, you just don't have that information. So I don't know that it necessarily hurts them, but it certainly doesn't help them to the point that would if even it was say like week 6 or something. So I always hate early buys, and this year is no different. It's not enough time to make any changes that they need to make.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not a huge fan of early buys, as has been mentioned before, but I mean, you mentioned week 6 just like 5 seconds ago. We had a week 7 buy last year, and look how that turned out. We came out far worse than we did before. You mentioned that we have too conservative of a coaching staff and they're not going to take advantage. Well, there's got to be some sense of urgency because we're 2-1, essentially 2 games behind the Vikings right now, who are 4-0. Despite the fact that they have Sam Bradford at quarterback. They lost Teddy Bridgewater, they lost Matt Khalil, they lost Adrian Peterson, just so many injuries, and they're still 4-0. There's got to be a sense of urgency in that locker room and in that front office right now for Mike McCarthy to be making some changes. And he can make those changes earlier this year. That's the chance he's been given, is these are the things, especially offensively, that have not worked. And even in the secondary, things just have not worked, and this is their chance to fix them. And if he can get them fixed now as opposed to 5 or 6 weeks from now, that's a golden opportunity that you just have to take advantage of. So again, chance to get some guys healthy. LaTroy Guyon's going to be back. Burnett's going to be back. We're 1 week away from Pennell being back. There's going to be some more players coming back in the next few weeks, and we have a chance to take a step forward now.
Okay. I am going to just go ahead and I'm giving it to Dusty because Brian did not let me introduce him into this topic, and he cannot speak without me introducing him. So Brian,
you forgot how fragile your ego is. I'm sorry.
You're automatically disqualified from this, but at the same time, Dusty made some great points too, because I think it would hurt McCarthy and Caper's brains too much if they tried to make changes mid-season. So I say that this buy might hurt us a little bit early, but time will only tell. And our final coin toss segment is going to be we are getting at least one key player of our secondary back in Morgan Burnett, and hopefully Sam Shields can quickly follow him, because Lord knows we need him back there. But will Morgan Burnett help turn this secondary around? Brian, if it is tails, you will tell me why Morgan Burnett will help turn this secondary around, okay?
Okay.
It is heads, so the return of Morgan Burnett will not help turn the secondary around. Go for it.
Thank you for that full introduction that I let you get through without interruption.
Thank you for not interrupting me.
All right, so the reason that Morgan Burnett is not going to make that big of a difference has nothing to do with Morgan Burnett. Of course, it can't hurt to have him back. He's one of our best players on defense, but it's Sam Shields that we need. We just don't have anyone else on this defense that's capable of covering a number 1 receiver. We don't have anybody that has the combination of technique and speed that Sam Shields has. So we need that kind of trickle-down effect where Sam Shields gets number 1, and then Demarius Randall gets number 2, and then everyone else can worry about everyone else. Right now, it's Demarius Randall against the number 1, and it's been ugly. Demarius Randall, at this point in his career, is a number 2 cornerback. We need Shields back more than we need Burnett.
Okay, Dusty.
Quick and to the point. How you like that?
That was quick and nice. I liked it. Okay, you get style points. Dusty, where are you at, bud?
I think Burnett's going to help quite a bit, and just he was not great for the when he was on the field first couple games. He's very good against the run, and he's decent against the pass. His range is not great, but who he's got behind him is Micah Hyde, who I like, but he's just a limited role. He's very good in a kind of I don't want to compare him, but kind of the role Charles Woodson did, kind of that Joker role. He can play kind of like an undersized linebacker. He can play close to the line. He can play a bit in space, but his reading deep on a ball is not great. If you stick him 20 yards deep and expect him to read receivers coming off the line, that's not his strength. So you basically have Micah Hyde, and then you also have Kentrell Bryce, who is an undrafted rookie this year, and he looked really good in the preseason. He looked good on special teams. He's got a burst to him. Seems to be a solid tackler, but he's an undrafted rookie. Like he's got skills. He doesn't have what he needs to be a starting safety in the NFL, and that's fine. I think one day he could get there, but he's not there right now. And so what we saw this past week, not this past week, 2 weeks ago, I guess, before the bye, was Marvin Jones just absolutely carve him up. And Stafford's always been he's always been good at hitting that hole in the cover 2, and that's what the Packers played a lot in the second half. And what hurt him really was when Bryce was over there, and Hyde as well. It was Randall kind of maybe coming off a little too early to catch that short zone, and then that safety, whether that was Hyde or Bryce on that side, be really late to rotate over there, leaving a huge hole. Usually it's kind of a tighter hole. It was a huge hole for Jones to just kind of sit in and run to, and just Stafford to hit him in stride. So Burnett, again, doesn't have huge range, but he's a smart guy, and he has more experience than either of those two as far as those things. And suddenly that window becomes tighter, and maybe you get a tip pass, maybe you get a pick, maybe you just get an errant throw. Burnett makes a huge difference just in his experience and his intelligence back there that they just don't have without him.
Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm very strongly tempted to actually give this coin toss win to Jordan, because I did not mention him in our intros. Jordan is out. He's out sick tonight, so we wish him the best. But that is not the rules.
Jordan, where art thou?
Where art thou, Jordan? You sexy little beast. But no, that is not the rules, and I will pick a winner, and I am going to go with Dusty on this one.
Screw you, John.
I know. Woo! And it's solely based on the fact that I think that Morgan Burnett he adds some intensity to our defense, where him and Clinton Dix know how to lay a hit into somebody, and that is something that I really enjoy watching the Packers do. I'm sick of watching the Packers of yesteryear, where they're, trying to strip the ball and not ready to just lay somebody out and make their presence known. So I think Burnett, out of all the things you guys described him as, I think he is just an intense brute in the back, and he is a difference maker. So I hope that his presence is made known, and the secondary can recover from their woeful play as of late. So there's our coin.
I have a notebook next to me, and I just wrote Dusty wins really, really big in it. So
hey,
take that, Brian.
Hey, there's your 3 seconds of FaceTime.
I'm gonna win it one of these weeks, and I'm gonna take 5 minutes to just tell you all why I'm so great.
Hey, who has
Be prepared.
Who has an ego now, Brian?
But don't we all?
We all do. We are all Tom Brady's on the inside. Let's be honest. But we are going to give Dusty the wonderful opportunity to tell us about our beautiful sponsor that we have here at Pack to the Future.
Yeah, all right. So our sponsor is Pride and Glory Clothing Company. It's online. It's prideandglory63.com. It's run by Fred Thurston. If that last name sounds familiar, it's because he is the grandson of the late, great Fuzzy Thurston. He sells unique Packer shirts on that site. Just some terrific shirts. Switches them up quite a bit. He just has some new ones on there that are dynamite. I've got one myself that has the sweep with the Fuzzy Thurston number 63 highlighted, but it's just basically the Lombardi sweep diagrammed up. Dynamite shirt. All the stuff on that site is fantastic. So check it out if you can. I have a lot of Packer shirts. I don't live in Green Bay, but every time I go up there, I pick up a Packer shirt. And they're all about the same. It's got the big G on it, which is awesome. But these are shirts unlike anything I've ever seen. It does highlight the Fuzzy Thurston and also kind of just the classic Packer teams. It's a great look. Fred's a great guy, great shirts. So check him out. Pick up a shirt there. It's prideandglory63.com. Every time I wear mine, I get comments on it. So make sure you check it out. It's a Packer shirt, and it's something a little different for you.
Check New York Bozo! New York Bozo!
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to be taking over from here. John had to bounce. The birth of his first nephew, he gets to go meet him right now. So we figured we'd let that take precedence over recording. Even though he's been doing a really great job, I'm going to take over from here. And we're going to start with our guest for this week of GMENHQ.com. We've got Colleen Wagoner. How you doing, Colleen?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Pumped about this game. Coming off a bye week. We're sick of not watching football already. So even though we have to put up with another Sunday afternoon of no football, we at least get some at the end of the day.
That's right.
All right. So let's kick things off. Ben McAdoo, your new head coach, former Packers offensive coordinator. So everyone in Green Bay and all the fans in general, I guess, really curious as to how he's doing. So what's your perception of his first few weeks?
My perception on Ben McAdoo so far, I think we really love him in New York. I think we're excited that this is, his third year. We're in the Giants being in this offensive scheme. He definitely, I believe he has the personality of a head coach. I think, especially with the Odell Beckham stuff going on right now, a lot of the media is questioning, is he being, is he putting out the discipline of the team to the team, getting his discipline across to the team. So I think that's our only complaints as fans right now. But overall, it's only 4 games in as the head coach, but overall, I do believe he's the right man for the job.
All right, so you covered almost everything. What I don't understand is his look. Are there no good barbers in New York? Is a multi-million-dollar salary not enough to get a haircut in New York or find shirts that fit? Like, what's up with Ben McAdoo's look this year?
Hey, it's expensive up here, You gotta pay $8 for a beer. Maybe he can't afford to get a haircut. No, but I mean, Bill Belichick is doing his own style thing. I think Ben McAdoo, like many football coaches, don't really care about the style. I mean, he rocks the oversized suit. He rocks the morning time glasses. The hairstyle. I mean, he's got it going on.
Wow. One way I've never heard Ben McAdoo described as he's got it going on, so well done. All right, so you mentioned the discipline, and Odell Beckham Jr. is at the forefront of that conversation. Been referred to as a distraction, crying a lot, fighting with kicking nets, all that kind of stuff. What's going on with Odell Beckham Jr.?
I think obviously it's a culmination of things. At the forefront, though, I think it's tough being in New York. There's a big argument going on. Like, if he were in Baltimore and Cleveland or in Jacksonville, would this be magnified as much as it is right now? And I don't think it would be. But he certainly has an issue. He has an anger management issue on the field, and defenses know what to do to get in his head. We knew it was going to come with when we played the Redskins and Josh Norman, but the fact that it resurfaced against the Vikings, against a cornerback that he's never played before, that's worrisome. Now the Vikings are very physical, and they knew what to do to get in his head. But the fact that he did it again and had another blow up on the sideline, it's very worrisome. But I think that the Giants, as an organization, as a team, they're approaching it well, or as well as they can. I think that they're trying different ways to tackle it by, calling in his LSU wide receiver coach to kind of get him together. They're calling him out. They're, the fact that Eli, someone who keeps everything so close to his chest, the fact that he's saying, Odell has had it coming for him. I think that'll mean something to Odell, that Eli has come out and said something about it. Now, I know I've watched Green Bay a lot, and I know that Green Bay doesn't play I don't want to say they're not as mean as the Vikings. I think they're a great they're a great defense, but they're not
Very delicately put.
They're not the type of defense that is just going to play dirty, you know. And I mean that as a compliment. They're not a dirty defense. So I don't suspect that the Green Bay Packers are going to use the same tactics as Josh Norman did and as the Vikings defense did. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how it goes this week. Hopefully no more outbursts by the young wide receiver.
All right, so moving on to this upcoming game, what do the Giants have to do to get a win on Sunday?
The Giants need to limit penalties. I think, especially the last 2 weeks, our 2 losses. The reasons we lost those games, especially the Redskins. I mean, we lost that game, and it was due to penalties. It was due to turnovers. If the Giants limit turnovers, limit penalties, and get the wide receiver core going, I do think that the Giants have a really good chance. I know that Green Bay secondary is pretty injured, and I believe that Demarius Randall will be covering Odell, who's had some struggles.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, Demarius has had some struggles, and I think Green Bay's secondary is 29th in the league, covering wide receivers. And correct me if I'm wrong there. But
sounds right to me.
But I think, to answer your question, if we limit the penalties, if we limit turnovers, and if Eli gets all 3 receivers involved, especially Odell, I think that the Giants can stand a good chance. But on the defensive side, we are also very injured in the secondary. It doesn't look like Eli Apple will play. I think Rogers Cromartie, there's a good chance he might play, but he definitely won't be 100%. The reason the Vikings torched us last week was because we were so injured. Immediately in the Redskins game, when both of our DBs went out, that's when they kind of took over the game. So, you know, another week of practice for those second and third string guys. If we get Cromartie back, it's just gonna be. I think it's gonna kind of be a gunslinger shootout. I think because both secondaries are injured, we could really be seeing a high score game, with a lot of past TDs. But we'll see.
All right. So give us your score prediction. How's it all going to go down?
Let's see. Coming off a bye, I gotta give the edge to the Packers. I think you guys have had 2 weeks to prepare for the Giants, essentially. A little bit less, more recovery time to get a little bit healthy. My score prediction is gonna be, I'm gonna go 27-21 Packers.
All right.
We'll take it.
All right. I kind of like that, but we have it feels like when our guests come on and predict a Packers win, the Packers record is pretty bad after those games. So
we see what you're doing, Colleen. So, we see what you're doing.
That makes
here.
us nervous.
Maybe I knew that, and I'm just trying to reverse the Giants curse.
All right, Colleen, tell the people where they can find you on the World Wide Web.
You guys can find me on GMENHQ.com, as well as KentuckySportsRadio.com.
All right, pulling double duty there. All right, wonderful. Well, thank you very much for coming on with us, Colleen.
Of course. Thank you guys so much for having me.
All right, so let's get into next week. Dusty, let's start breaking down what we think is going to happen on Sunday night. With a sick Jordan and John off to meet his nephew, it's just the two of us, but I think we can handle the rest. What do you say?
I think we can do it. I think, the two of us, I think, are pretty awesome, so I think we'll be fine.
I would agree with that sentiment.
We miss John and of course Jordan, who's dying in his room somewhere. But yeah, we can do it. I'm hyped. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, I'll kick things off by breaking down what I think the Packers need to do to win this game. And I'm going to start with something that Colleen kind of touched on, and I'm going to say we got to frustrate Odell Beckham Jr. We got to do it early. And I'm not confident that we'll do this because, as Colleen said, we're not a physical defense. We're not a punch you in the face defense. We're not, a dirty defense like you're going to see in Minnesota or, especially any team that Josh Norman is playing cornerback for. So I'm a little worried that we won't be able to accomplish this, but if we could just get into his head early, I mean, the damage is already done. We just kind of need to kick a guy when he's down. So just go, just push him, I don't know, do whatever you got to do. Just get in his head. And if we can take him out of the game, Sterling Shepard's still there, and so is Victor Cruz. But, those two are a lot more manageable than an Odell Beckham Jr. when he's on his game. So, so here's hoping we can do that. Key number 2, I'm going to say establish the run and do it early as well. If we're not able to get into Odell Beckham Jr.'s head, we can at least keep him on the sideline by having some long, sustained drives and, keep our defense rested, keep theirs tired. I think that would just go a long way. And finally, we got to get to Eli, which is something that teams in these first 4 games have totally failed to do. He has only been sacked 6 times through 4 games. That's a really good number. It's good for, tied for 4th in the NFL right now. And they're tied for 2nd with QB hits. Eli Manning has only been hit by a defensive player 9 times. That is a crazy low number. That's just over 2 per game. That's this offensive line that they have in New York has been doing such a good job in pass protection. Now in run blocking though, they've struggled a bit. They're very middle of the road. They're average. This is a run game that we can stop, especially with how well our run defense has played. We should be getting to Tone Jones and LaTroy Guion back. These middle linebackers have been doing such a good job. The Jake and Blake connection have been doing so well. So stuff the run, get to Eli a few times, frustrate Odell Beckham Jr., establish the run, win. And I'm going to say the Packers will win this game, and I'm going to agree with Colleen. It's going to be a shootout, and I'm going to go with an even higher point total. I'm going to say 34-31 Packers win this game. Dusty, right. John's favorite segment, in his honor, give us a bunch of stats and then tell us what you think is going to happen on Sunday.
I got a few. So going off the pressure stuff, which you're talking about, that the Giants do a very good job of protecting Eli Manning. The Packers have done a very good job at getting after the quarterback as well. Through 3 games, they are ranked 4th. This is from Football Outsiders in pressure rate. They pressure QBs on 19.2% of their dropbacks. So that's 4th, behind only Denver, the Jets, and the Eagles. And I mean, the Eagles I know had been good. I'd not really paid attention to their pressure, but the Broncos and the Jets have just been killing people. So to be up in that company it's pretty impressive. So the Giants do a very good job or pass blocking, but the Packers can get after it a little as well. So that is going to be key. They're going to have to get after Eli. He can make plays outside the pocket, but you make him move his feet a little. He's not going to be as accurate, and that's where you get your chances. So that's going to be huge. The big one for me, and this is something that is already kind of talked about, but this is kind of what I wanted to look at, was say how Packers have done against the number 1 wide receivers this year. And so I kind of took that 2 different ways. I basically took a small sample size and made it smaller. I took week 1, I looked at that in and of itself, and then week 2 and 3. And the reason for that is how they did with Shields versus without Shields. So in the first game, they went up against the Jags, and their number 1 receiver I had pegged as Allen Robinson. So he had some decent, some big receptions in that game. Not huge. Overall, he had caught 6 balls, but on 15 targets, only 50 or 40% catch percent for 72 yards. That's like 4.8, so under 5 yards per pass attempt, which is really, really good. In the 2 games without Shields, they went up against Stefon Diggs and Marvin Jones, who, if if you're faint of heart, you may want to cover your ears for this. So without Shields in those 2 games against the number 1 receivers, this is they caught roughly 79% of the balls thrown to them for 193 yards, which comes out to 20.37 yards per attempt. That's not good. And then it came out just today or yesterday, I believe, in the injury report, Demarius Randall was limited in practice with a groin injury. He's still probably going to start. I'd be shocked if he wasn't out there, but Randall has not looked good this year when he's been fully healthy. So Randall with the groin injury, now that could be, maybe that's a blessing. Maybe Rollins gets put in a little more over there, but even then, that's not great. And looking at their cornerback charting numbers, again, per Football Outsiders, which they've made some of their charting stats available for like $25 this year, which is just unreal. Through 3 games with 142 charted running or cornerbacks, looking at success rate, out of 142, Randall is sitting at 128. Or no, I'm sorry, he's 113 with 39%. Rollins is 128 out of 142 with 22%. So whether you stick Rollins or a slightly injured Randall over there, it doesn't look good. And that's just their number 1. That's without Colleen mentioned, and I believe you mentioned as well, Brian. Besides Beckham, they got Cruz and they got Sterling Shepard. Like, they have a really, really good receiving core. And if Eli gets time against a secondary that's hurting a little bit without Shields and with a hobbled Randall, it could get ugly. But what gives me hope is I do think it's going to be a shootout. I do think Eli's going to put up numbers. I do believe Rodgers is going to put up numbers. Colleen mentioned the injuries that the Giants have. I mean, that's absolutely true. The Giants secondary, they were shredded by Sam Bradford. We got beat by Bradford, but not to the extent the Giants got beat by Bradford. I mean, if you take away Stefan Diggs, because he killed us, but there was guys open all day. So that's going to be really, really tough. But Eli has thrown 4 interceptions so far this year, and the Packers only have 2 on the year through 3 games, but they dropped 3 in the last game. Eli's going to throw some balls that can be picked off. The Packers just have to be there and actually do it. They're going to get their hands on some. They're going to have to haul them in. I've rambled on for long enough, so let's do a score prediction. This is assuming, I'm going to say the Packers say 2 or 3 turnovers. I'm going to say 2 interceptions in the second half alone. Because of that, that's going to be enough to turn the tide. I'm going big. I'm going Packers 38-24.
38-24. That'd be nice to have a nice, comfortable win.
It would be, yeah. Just say like the last 6 minutes, you just sit back and ride it out. Like that's what I'm hoping for, man.
Oh, here's hoping. I also just want to point out real quick that you just made a lot of points that I made during the coin toss earlier on about Sam Shields and his importance, and John gave that segment to you. So John, wherever you are, I'm calling you out, bro. That totally should have been my point.
John's not here, so I don't think you can take him. I mean, I won it, so really, that's the point goes to me. So it just sounds like sour grapes at this point, Brian. That's all I'm saying.
It's absolutely sour grapes.
Okay.
That's absolutely what it is.
All right. As long as
I'm not going to deny it.
That's fine.
I'm bitter. The coin toss is important to me. All right.
I can see that.
All right. Fine. All right. So we have 3 going for the Packers, none going for the Giants. That makes me really nervous. That makes me more nervous than Odell Beckham Jr. and Victor Cruz do.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm not going to get any sleep until Sunday night now.
Yeah, I don't like that. I really wish. Because Eric picked the Packers, right? When we were doing the Vikings one. So, yeah, I don't like this. I should have picked the Giants. One of us should have picked the Giants, I think.
Colleen should have picked the Giants. That's who should have. Oh well. Nothing we can do about it now.
Mm-mm.
All right, let's get some final thoughts. Dusty, why don't you go ahead? I know there's a Twitter question we can start with, eh?
Yeah, we've got one Twitter question from our boy Sam. It's at McCready Sam. In case you don't know him or you don't follow him, Sam's great. He's a Scottish Packer fan. Man, you want to talk dedication? Man, I love the Packers. And if they have a Monday or they got a Sunday night game coming up, I'm going to complain that I got to go into work on Monday. Sam stays up to like 4 a.m. due to the time difference to watch every Packers game live. It's insane. It's an insane amount of dedication, and the fact that he's usually frustrated when watching a game, which we all are, but just keep in mind that Sam's up at like 3 or 4 in the morning watching these, so I would also be frustrated. So Sam's great. Give him a follow if you can.
Mm-hmm.
His question, it's not Packers related, but it's football. Do you think last year's extra point rule made it less exciting? Eliminated fake 1-point attempts to get 2 by moving kickback. I'm going to say no, just because I'm a huge fan of a fake kick, go for a 2-point conversion. But man, like I can't remember the last time I saw one of those. I feel like I can count on one hand the number of times I saw those. I think going for it, more teams going for 2 is more exciting. And I always love the kicking the extra point, only have like an offside, and then you move up, and then there's the game of, well, do we feel good about it from the 1? It kind of is do we trust our kicker to make a mid-range field goal versus do we trust our offense to get 2 yards? I love what the Steelers are doing with this. The Steelers are going for 2. I think more than any team since this has gone in. They went for it this past week after their first touchdown, so they went up 8-0. It's a little bit extra, say gamesmanship or a little bit of decision making you have to do. If there's a bunch of teams faking kicks, that'd be awesome, but there's not. So I kind of like the closer 2-point conversion. Brian, what do you think?
Couldn't have said it better myself. Again, I was thinking about what he said, and yeah, it would be cool to see a whole bunch of fake kicks going for 2-point conversions instead, but that wasn't the case. They were lining up to go for the 2-point conversion anyway most of the time. So I don't think it really takes any of the excitement out, and if anything, it probably adds a little bit of excitement because that extra point is no longer a gimme.
Yeah.
So more
especially
missed extra points, weird scores. Exactly. we got weird scores coming out of this. I find it to be more exciting. I'm a big fan of the rule change, so
I am too.
Yeah. All right, Dusty, final thoughts.
Well, my final thought, not football related. So about a month ago, I talked about
never is.
It never is. We talk football all the time. So about a month ago, I went to Horror Hound up in Indianapolis, about a 3-hour drive for me. Talked about it at the time. It was awesome. And this past weekend, I actually got a press pass to go to Scarefest, which is here in Lexington. It's down at Rupp Arena. It's awesome. It started as a paranormal convention, and so there's a whole lot of tarot cards and fortunes, and you can get tattoos and the ghost hunters, and so on top of the celebrities, which this year was Camp Scarefest. There was a whole bunch of Friday the 13th. You had the girl from Sleepaway Camp, just a whole bunch of kind of camp themed horror people were there. So on top of that, you also had just all the fortune telling stuff and the ghost hunting, and it's a really weird mix. And I love it. I went Friday and Saturday. Got to talk met up some friends, made some new odd friends, befriended a couple local scary clowns. That was awesome. Kind of talked to them. There's a pair of brothers that go to these things. One is Ace Ventura and one is Ash from the Evil Dead. Talked to them for a little bit, kind of about what they do. Followed around clowns, watched them scare people. I said it a month ago. I'll say it again. If you get a chance to go to one of these conventions, whether it's horror or comic book or whatever, man, I cannot recommend it highly enough. Every time I go, it's a blast, even if you're just going to people watch. There's booths that sell stuff, which is awesome, but man, the people watching is what makes it awesome. And just going around and talking to a bunch of like-minded people, it's a blast, man. So that was this past weekend. That was Scarefest here in Lexington. It was the 9th year. It's amazing. I'm going to be writing about it really soon. I love it every year. I look forward to every one. If you get a chance, hit one of those up. So that's my final thought. Basically, horror conventions are awesome, just if you want to boil it down. And you can find me online. I'm on Twitter at Dusty Evely.
All right. Yeah, it sounds like a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my final thoughts. None of them are football related either. Just another shout out to John. Congrats on the birth. It's his first nephew. He has one niece already. So now he's got one of each. So he's off playing with a baby right now instead of podcasting, which is totally cool. But you can find him on Twitter at John Jameson. That's John with no H, by the way. He's very proud of that. The other shout out goes to Jordan, who, as Dusty mentioned, is totally just dying in his room right now, but hope you feel better, Jordan. You can find Jordan online at JGPeck41. I told him this week he should really change his to Peck to the Future. Mm-hmm. He hasn't taken action on that yet. I'm a little disappointed, but stay tuned to this channel for any updates regarding Jordan Peck's Twitter handle. Another thing to stay tuned for, just watch our space, man. Watch Twitter, watch Facebook. We're going to be posting some really cool stuff. We got some awesome stuff in the works right now at Pack to the Future. Cool stuff is happening, and you want to be a part of it. So stay
Very
tuned.
exciting.
We're excited about it.
Yeah.
All right. That's all we've got for this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. Go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.